Several months ago, it was soft announced that the Winter Soldier would be coming to Marvel's Avengers, but after that faceless reveal, we didn't get much news until yesterday. Yesterday, we finally got more details on this new character, including a release date, a voice actor confirmation, and a full face reveal. So on today's video, I'm going to be giving my quick carrot thoughts on this Marvel's Avengers news.
Stars and Stripes!
Hello and welcome to another Carrot Scraps video, and by another, I mean the 119th. And welcome to the Quick Carrot Cabin. I don't know what that means, but that's where we are right now. And basically, this is just a place where I can give my fastest thoughts on some developing information. Now, right up front, before we get into anything, I just wanted to mention that because this is a Carrot Quick Thoughts video, I'm not going to be as scripted as I am in many other videos, although I've done a lot of videos like this recently, but especially in a Quick Thoughts video, instead of an early thoughts or a first thoughts video, it's going to be very just raw stream of consciousness thoughts from me. And so that means if I get any details wrong, please excuse that. I'm going to try and be as factual as I can, but if I make any mistakes, please bear with me because I'm just trying to put out my thoughts as quickly as possible. So I appreciate you for understanding, but please let me know if I got anything wrong as well. Anyway, let's just jump right into it and talk about this new news that was released. So first of all, when it comes to his design, I think he looks pretty striking. I was just surprised to see him in general, but I think he looks pretty cool so far. I especially like this version of his arm. I think it looks very pronounced. I think it looks very bright. I also like the red accents on his hand. And I think it looks really cool. I think it was very smart of them to position him in a way where you could see that arm super pronounced, and even the star looks really cool. So I really do like that. It's one of the most iconic parts of this character's design, and I think they did a good job so far. I keep joking about this version of the character having mutton chops, because to me it looks like he has mutton chops, which for the record I would be so excited about. I guess I'm going to put that down as like my big prediction for this, is that I predict he will have mutton chops, and I hope that he has mutton chops, but it honestly just looks to me like his face is covered in shadows. On like the left side of his face, he just has hair in front of his cheek, and on the right side, it just looks like a shadow, but I think it would be really cool if he had mutton chops. It would be such a drastically different design, and I thought that would be pretty cool. And kind of interesting that I feel like they didn't overdo the face makeup that sometimes he can be known for, and kind of gave him more of a clean look. I mean, he still has the darkness in his eyes, but I don't see the dramatic makeup that maybe other illustrators might use for him. But yeah, I love the way that he looks, and I'm very excited for it. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, I'm not the biggest Winter Soldier fan, right? I wasn't the biggest Black Widow fan before Marvel's Avengers. I never disliked Black Widow. I read plenty of Black Widow comics, and I was familiar with the character, had nothing against that character, but when the game came out and I really enjoyed playing as her, and I really enjoyed this version of her, suddenly I found myself more of a Black Widow fan than I had ever been, and I consider myself more of a Black Widow fan now than I was before the release of the game. So I feel like a similar thing could happen with Bucky, and it's just one of those things where, I don't know, I guess I'm just not super into rumors, right? Like, so people have asked me for a while, like, what do you think of Bucky? And I'm like, I don't know. He's not a character that I necessarily love. And, I think a big part of that as well is just we didn't really have any confirming news until recently. And it just goes to show, like, actually getting to see him makes me so excited. And I am imagining all these scenarios of what this character can do in my mind based on the, combat kit of all the other characters in the game, and I'm really excited to play as him. Like, it just goes to show once we actually have something, I'm more stoked about it. To finish my thoughts on design really quickly, though, I hope we get more skins for Bucky than we did for Jane. I mentioned in my Jane Foster review that was one of the biggest disappointments for me, that she got very little, very few skins, and the skins she did get were beautiful. But I like the recolor skins, you know what I mean? I like the more simple designed skins, and I hope that Bucky gets a larger library of looks like a lot of the other characters on the roster, you know what I mean? I know the recolors aren't super popular, but I love having a large amount of options, and whether they're free or whether they're cheap, like the $5 skins, I really do hope that we get more skins for Bucky than we did for Jane, and that it's not just kind of the weekly marketplace skin. I hope it's not like that. I hope we get, a good number of skins with Bucky first before we get into that rhythm. And I guess again, one of the last things about this is the gun is so interesting to me. I saw some people say they don't like this gun that he has, but I think it looks pretty interesting. It's odd. I guess I'm not a gun guy, right? Like, so I like that it looks a little weird and it doesn't look super realistic. I think that looks cool. But I can imagine that a lot of people, I've had people in my Twitch chat before mention, like, they really care about the way that guns look in video games. And so I can imagine a lot of people won't like this gun, but I really like this gun. I think it looks really cool. And I'm excited to see more of it and to see what it does and to see what he does. I'm excited to see new animations from him. I'm excited to see new abilities. Now, there's been a lot of discussion around the Winter Soldier after this release. Obviously, a lot of people are excited, but there's also been a lot of criticism in terms of a couple of different things. First of all, the fact that there's no operation that's coming with him. We kind of knew that this was coming, and we've known that this was going to be the case for a while. I think it was, basically gestured towards that we're going to stop focusing on operations as much, or stop giving every single character an operation, to focus more so on multiplayer content, or at least I think that's what people, got the idea from. And it doesn't, even though we might have been prepared for that, we haven't gotten an operation since last year with Black Panther. It still feels a little odd to not get one here. I think a lot of people who took a break from the game, who are excited to come back, are confused that there's no operation. Some of us keep up with the news like really regularly and other people don't. And just in general, it's such a great way to introduce a character to the game and to the roster. And I agree, like, it's disappointing not to get to see it. And it doesn't even need to be that long. I feel like I would even accept one level. I'm sure they would get criticism for that. And, they did get criticism even for their 4-hour campaigns, or even for their, 2-hour campaigns. But I still would appreciate it, even if it was a very, very short mission. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is the level grind. We're getting cloning labs around the same time, and a lot of people are understandably disappointed by the fact that we're not going to be able to play as Bucky in this new content for a little while, which means that you'll have to play through older content to grind this character to be more powerful. Now, the thing is, I totally understand that. I think that's valid. I've said many times, I understand when people talk about like the lack of content. There's a certain amount of missions in the game, and it's been that way for a very long time, with the occasional new mission released or new character released for the past year. But typically it's been the same missions for a very long time. And I understand the frustration behind that, and I understand why people aren't a fan of that, or why somebody might stop playing because of that. And I especially understand when it comes to, playing a new character and wanting new things to do with them. So I get that. I want to validate that all immediately. But for me personally, I don't mind the same missions and replaying the same missions. I feel like I do that a lot with plenty of games. I mentioned on Twitter, like Resident Evil 3. I replay Resident Evil 3 all the time, and it's the same game over and over, right? But somebody accurately points out that that is a single player game, not a live service game. So it's not the same thing. And again, I've said that many times as well, that as a live service game, I do wish there was more regular content released for Avengers. I agree with that sentiment, and I think it's true. Like, I really do. But I said that in my year 2 review, I believe. But as a video game, I can't deny my love for this game, and I can't deny that I think there's a lot of content as just a video game by itself. But even with all of that being said, I play Back 4 Blood pretty regularly. I'm not sure if this would be considered a live service game. I think it is, but it's, it gets regular content updates. It has events, and it's basically just the same 4 plus 5, DLC campaigns over and over. I just replay that campaign constantly. I replay those missions constantly. I just change the difficulty, change the character, change my skin, collect cards, which is, essentially a gear analog, and that's it. And again, I understand if that's not for everybody. I know a lot of people don't like Back 4 Blood, but it's just another example that I can think of where it's like, yeah, I do this with a lot of other games where I just am on this gameplay loop, especially for a live service game where, sure, again, I do agree there should be more characters, but more content. There should be more characters, but there should be more content. But at the end of the day, I don't mind replaying a lot of these missions because I enjoy these missions. And at the end of the day, I like the variety between the characters. So the lack of variety in missions doesn't bother me as much. For me, when Bucky comes out, even though I'm not going to have new missions to play, I'm going to have a new character to play with. So it's going to make the game feel completely different, in my opinion. So that's kind of my thoughts on that whole thing. I would hope that the team takes the criticism into uh into account, mostly specifically not really about the mission variety, but more so about the gear and how we earn it. I do think it is kind of, you know, disappointing for people to not get to play the new content as this new character. And however the team could think of a way to kind of allow people to play the new content with this new character, I think that should be looked into and that should be thought about. So, again, as usual, I think they should take the criticism into account. And then one of the big things is that the voice actor was revealed, who is Scott Porter, which I'm very excited to see his version of the character. I love the voice acting in this game. I think they've done a great job. He even actually he did a tweet, He made a tweet that basically said that like he had gotten this job a long time ago, and so he was excited to finally, be in the game, and we're excited to have him, and we're excited to see, what he will bring to the character. But to my understanding, he's played Star-Lord before in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is pretty cool. I played Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and so it's kind of interesting to have, another voice actor carry on a legacy of a character that they've played before. And I'm curious to see what he brings to this version of the character. He was also in a bunch of other games, like he played Star-Lord in the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game. He played Cyclops in the Marvel anime, which is an anime I've actually watched and that I own, and that was a pretty good time. He played Nightwing in Batman Arkham Knight, and he played Scarlet Spider, most importantly, in the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show, along with, other roles. So he's obviously a big superhero guy. He's done a bunch of stuff, and it's just really cool to have, a new voice actor in the game. I think one of the uncontested, like, strong qualities of this game are the voice acting, and the voice directing, the choices, the performances. I think those are like some of the highest points of this game. Is the depiction of these characters, I think, is really well done. And the last thing I want to mention is our very own Layla. It's their first time writing, like, for a big content release like this, and they tweeted that they were excited about, their writing being in such a big content drop, and it's really exciting to get to see. I think we have seen their writing already in the Monica villain sector, but it's really exciting to see more of it, and to see more of what they're bringing to the table. It's got to be a dream job being able to write for Marvel, and I have by association excitement for them. So I can't wait to see what they bring to the game, and I can't wait to see the story that we do get, because even though I do wish we got an operation, and I can't say that enough, I do wish that we got an operation. One of the things that I really loved about Jane Foster was that even though we didn't get an operation, I really did like listening to the audio logs and listening to the voice acting of this character, and I felt like we got a really interesting story from them. And Spider-Man as well, in these audio logs, even though we didn't get that operation. So I am excited for the audio logs. I am excited to hear from this character. But I'm also excited for the future to hopefully have a new operation. And to the people who are asking, like, I miss operations, or, it sucks that we won't get them anymore, I do think we'll get operations eventually. I just don't think that I just think we need to wait for another character, essentially. I think it depends on the character, and they're probably working on an operation for a specific character, if I had to guess, So to round out my thoughts, obviously, very excited about, the Winter Soldier, very excited about Bucky Barnes, very excited to see what he'll look like in the game, very excited to see his skins. More importantly, I'm excited to see his combat. I don't know. Again, my mind is going, like, very overactive about, like, what he could possibly do. I imagine him being very acrobatic. I imagine him clinging to walls. I'm very excited to see what his arsenal of weapons will be. I know people in the past have suggested him using, like, a sniper rifle. I don't know if that would work in the game, but again, I'm open to anything for him. And the one of the strongest parts of this game for me is the combat, and so I'm very excited to see what they bring to the table with him. He already looks really cool, and I'm excited to play him. On November 29th will be the release for this character, which is also interesting because we are also getting the Heroic Assault DLC, or multiplayer mode, rather, for Gotham Knights, which I'm very excited about, but there's a lot coming out on that day. Also, Twitter Blue will be coming out for the first time, and we're very excited about that. Very excited about that for the first time. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, coming to Marvel's Avengers, and the news that came out about that. What do you think about the Winter Soldier? Are you excited? Are you frustrated? Are you not playing? Are you going to play even if you do have criticisms, or are you just straight up stoked? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, that's going to do it for this Quick Thoughts video. I want to thank you so much for watching. If for some reason you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and to subscribe to my channel for more. If you want to check out my more live content, if you want to watch me play video games live, I play a lot of superhero games like Marvel's Avengers and Gotham Knights on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/carrotscraps. And this month is Nintendo November, so we are occasionally playing Nintendo games over on Twitch. So check that out if you're interested. All my other social media, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram are at carrotscraps as well. And as a reminder, I make a variety of content on my channel. I'm always going to make the videos that I want to make, but if you see something you enjoy, make sure to let me know, and I'll try to prioritize that kind of content in the future, especially with a video like this where I tried something a little bit different. Anyway, everybody, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Quick Carrot Cabin. Quick Carrot Cabin. Quick Carrot Cabin. This is the location of the Quick Carrot Cabin. Test. I'm testing from inside the Quick Carrot Cabin, or whatever I call this place.